All right, we're going to put these guys away. They've been out for 2 days, but I don't know what time I'm gonna get down here tomorrow, and they have a tendency to like to go down to Herman's and nibble on his garden, which is fine in the winter because there's really not anything in there. But right now, he's just put in a whole lot of stuff. So we're gonna push the goats up, and we're gonna put them back in the pasture. There's a whole lot of poison oak in here, tons of it. It's one of the reasons why I like having the goats in here. This whole pasture right here is gonna get cleaned up. I started the process, but I needed to get the dump truck up here, which means I needed to widen the road. I needed the dump truck up here because of the next big project we're working on, which is to demolish the old house. The main reason why the old house needs to be demolished is it's been asked by the insurance company that it be removed for safety reasons. So, you know, they insure us, so I'm not going to complain too loudly. All right, got half of them. Hey, Clint, you're going to go around and push those guys up? All right, let them pass you before you start putting any pressure on them. I'm going to put some pressure on these little guys, and we should be good. There we go. This pasture used to be, well, it wasn't much of a pasture. It was just a big bramble. It used to be 10 feet tall. All right, push him over, buddy. That's the remnants of our burn pile. We keep adding to them. We have a couple of them. There's so much dead and dried brush around the farm, and piles of old structures and all kinds of stuff. So, hey buddy, he was a triplet. He was born on our home farm. So was Anna, that girl right there. I don't know, she wasn't doing great this last year. So, Clint, which goat's your favorite?
The one over there.
Which one? The one, oh, the one with the brown head, the one that was born last year?
Yeah.
Hey, go that way, buddy. Go to your right, so they don't walk back out on that road. So he's talking about that brown-headed goat right there. There was a sister, she had a sister that Clint called Milky Way. And she got eaten by the coyotes. And that's when I started running livestock guardian dogs. At that time I was just running the netting. And so, Clay, walk back down the road, okay? So they'll go in, walk down the road. You're putting too much pressure on them, walk down the road. Good job, buddy. That's enough pressure. That's good, right there. They'll go in now. Her sister was eaten by the coyotes. I used electric netting at the time, just electric netting. He's got black stuff on himself from rubbing on aluminum housing, or like a aluminum panel. Anyways, yeah, her sister got eaten. We had electric netting at the time, and what we figured out was happening was the coyotes were getting the baby goats, or the young goats, so excited that they would run. And when they ran, they would run into the net and they would knock the netting over. And so that made it so that way the coyotes could then eat the baby goats. And we lost 2 goats like that, and then I tightened up where they were staying and put 2 livestock guardian dogs up here. And out of the 2 livestock guardian dogs I had up here, we now just have Merle. So I'm going to walk down to the bottom and close the bottom gate down. This is my watering container I use for them. That is a bobber in there for my pool. It's a 55-gallon drum. It's got some algae in it because these guys have actually been drinking off the natural springs here. And you can stay up here. They've been drinking off the natural springs. This is an old goat house that is going to get demoed. I did not put it there. The one I built is up here. I'll show it to you. So this last year was all about 12 to 15-foot tall blackberry bramble. And this section goes along this side and then down the other sides of that ravine. And there's a big, probably 1 acre pasture on the other side. And I'm actually going to do a bunch of black locust in there. Okay, so this is a quick, I threw this together in maybe 3 hours. I needed somewhere where I could get a little tractor in to clean it out. We don't do a lot of like putting our animals in barns, but I needed something when they kidded. And so literally some pallets, some old mobile home tin, and some boards, a bunch of nails, and in 4 hours, maybe not even 4 hours, it's probably less than 4 hours. It wasn't 4 hours. There was no way that's 4 hours. And a chainsaw. And boom, bang, bam, done. And then I was able to put the goats in this area for, they were up here for, there's like a little section went around here just for the first maybe 3 weeks of the babies. And I fed them hay at the time. Just because the woods are kind of, well, you can see, you know, it's a lot of bramble, and we have so much bramble. I'm gonna get my excavator in here and clean out a lot of this. The problem with the way the height of this is it looks like there's tons of food for your goats. And I learned this lesson the hard way. Almost all of that is completely unreachable for them, because what you don't see is the fact that that's 6 to 8 feet off the ground. Right here it's nice and low, but as it gets taller, everything underneath is dead and they can't really get to it. They can kind of climb it, but it's not great for them. And so if it gets out of control, there's 2 ways. I found 2 ways to do it. Do it by hand. I drop small trees on top of it, and that allows the goats to walk and on top of the trees, and they clear everything out. And when I say small trees, like these big leaf maples right here, I would go in there, I'd cut my way in, and then I'd go in there and I'd just drop everything out in all directions, as long as it wasn't getting tangled up in the evergreens or the firs in this case. And the big leaf maples, they eat the leaves off of that, as well as it pushes down the blackberry bramble. That's a really great way to do it if you want to spend, you know, you have an acre or 2 that you want to do over the course of the summer. It might take them a summer to really eat that whole thing down. But I don't always have that kind of time every day. I've done it a few times. But here's a good example of what happens after we have an ice storm. I did not get in here. An ice storm packed all this down this year, and then the goats came in because they'd already weakened it. They'd come through and nibbled on it and created some paths, and then the ice storm packed this down, and now the goats are coming in and just devouring it. So that works great, but you can't always do that when, like, this is 10 feet away, and 10 feet away, it's still 8 feet tall. So, yeah. So yeah, what I'm going down to right now is this is an old logging road that was put in when this was logged in 2000. And so there's a lot of random trees that have popped up. There's this is actually 40 acres back here that it was logged. Oh, I love it out here. We get all kinds of just absolutely beautiful flowers, wildflowers. Here's an old hunting stand Herman had in here. He can still hunt that, but I can't. It's all covered in poison oak, and it's not worth it to me. The poison oak isn't. Okay, so this is where the other day I let the goats out. They'd come down here, they were eating. I let them out so they would kind of browse their way up and mow some of the grass down. Whenever you're going to turn fencing off or you're going to open it up, leave it hot. If you leave it hot, raccoons, foxes, coyotes, bobcats, whatever, small creatures, they won't eat your fencing. I learned that the hard way. So this is what I'm using currently here. This is really quick and dirty. I love this Premier Shock 4. I've had some of their stuff that wasn't amazing. They've always stood behind, and sometimes it was my fault. Actually, it was usually my fault. I've kind of got my system worked out now. Anyways, this thing's amazing because you can just set it to battery, which means it'll give you the best performance for how charged that battery is. And since we're in the Pacific Northwest and we get all kinds of cloudy days, having a system that uses or is managed by the strength of the battery really helps. So I'm just attaching this to this old fencing. This is just quick and dirty, and then I throw a little hitch on this, little clove hitch, and that just makes it so it's easy to get undone. And since this is not, I'm going to use it, but I don't want to smack it against that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do a quick turn. 5-gallon bucket. What I do with these is I actually have the ground coming out of one side of the 5-gallon bucket. Thank you. And the hot wire coming out of the other, just because I found that sometimes these wires can short out, so this prevents that from happening. And yeah, and then I just turn it on, and it's on battery. We're getting 6 kilovolts. And I don't have to worry about that fence if it's been knocked over by an animal or anything, because it's been hot that whole time. I walked it the other day. It goes down here and through the woods, and then connects to the next vineyard's fence. So anyways, yeah, it's so stinking beautiful out here. And actually right down here is the most amazing little spot. It's got a bunch of really huge oaks and maples, and there's no cell phone coverage. It's just like a dead zone, and it's really beautiful. It's got a creek going through it, actually a couple of them, a couple springs. One of the springs is right actually back down here in this. I found it. The spring's really cool. Anyways, all right, well, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Boys, say bye.
Bye.